Well, what's up, fellow YouTubers, subscribers, and viewers? Welcome back to my channel Out of Context. I'm your host, GD, and I'm continuing where we last left off in World of Tanks, where we were training up our crew. I actually took a break for a little bit, and it was because I decided that this weekend would be the final weekend in which I would train my crew up to getting to the FE304, then train the crew from there, and that way I can be ready for going through the Crusader SP, FE304, all the way up till we eventually get to the Conqueror gun carriage. And that way, for I believe it's next week, when the event kicks off, for the on track to gun carriage, I'd be I'd be able to do that. And I wouldn't have to go through the entire vehicle line in order to get there, as I tried to do with the French artillery, and that kind of failed. It fell short. But while I'm playing today, I kind of want to talk about a couple of things that have been sort of bothering me. And I'm going to try and do everything that I can and be on top of everything while I'm doing that. How do I start this? Okay, so I've been having some difficulties dealing with some of the things that involve World of Tanks. Now, this isn't just specifically to World of Tanks, but it's an example of some of the problems that I deal with on an everyday basis. One of the problems relating to World of Tanks would be that I drive SPGs. Now, I, under normal circumstances, wouldn't consider this to be a problem. But I've been hearing some things from other players who are, I guess, adamant about artillery not being in the game or being removed from the game. Now, I'd heard that, you know, there are specific reasons why they're in the game, and so that they're very unlikely, if at all, to be ever removed from the game. But really, the whole reason why I came to World of Tanks, or started playing World of Tanks, was because I saw artillery. And it had nothing to do with gameplay. I'd never actually seen gameplay mechanics of artillery in the game. I never witnessed any of that. I didn't know what the difference was, how they functioned. All I know is my brother was the first person to introduce me to World of Tanks, and he played through a couple of different vehicle lines. I think he was working on German nations and all that sort of stuff. And so I looked at some of the gameplay that he was showing, and, you know, this rectangle thing, this big circle, was getting smaller and smaller as the vehicle was still. And I was like, oh, okay, so I guess the idea is the smaller the rectangle is, the more chance that the shot will go where you want it to. Now, a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance, as opposed to someone else who has, I guess, takes a little bit longer for them to aim in and all that sort of stuff. So their gun may not be aimed in all the way, but maybe they decide to fire, you know, first, because there's a chance that their shot might fly true and hit the target as they're hoping, as they feel it's intended. But that doesn't happen, or sometimes it doesn't happen. So the real question I had was, you know, what do you do about that? You know, in the sense of, you know, do you just wait longer for the shot to be aimed up, or, you know, do you do something else? It seemed very big as far as gambling was concerned. That's what it seemed like to me, was gambling. But it's like gambling without money, you know. That's the way that I saw it, and I'm okay with that. I really am. But it didn't. That really didn't catch my attention. That wasn't very interesting to me. So then I'm looking through some of the vehicles that my brother's showing me in his garage, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. And I run into the artillery, and I think, you know what? Those look really cool. Artillery looks really cool. Like, it really did. That's my impression of artillery at first. German artillery. And I thought, you know, it'd be really cool if you could drive those into battle against other vehicles. And that was my thought. Drive them into battle against other vehicles. Now, obviously, they're in the game, so that's what's going to happen, right? But you know, then you finally get to. So that was my first impression of World of Tanks. That's what kind of drew me towards it. Now, I didn't play World of Tanks right away. I was still, you know, I hadn't committed myself to playing it. So, what did I end up doing? Well, one of the things that ended up happening was later on, I ran into World of Tanks. I thought about it for a little while, and I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to play World of Tanks. What am I going to do? Well, I'd seen the German artillery up to that point, and not to say that there was anything wrong with the German artillery, because again, I hadn't played the game. So I didn't know if, you know, they were good or they were bad or, you know, all that jazz, you know? So, so I started playing. And the first vehicles that I ran into that I thought were kind of cool, or the vehicle that I thought was kind of cool, because you start with, you know, tier 10, or not tier 10, but tier 1. And I was like, okay, well, what vehicle do I want to start with then? And, well, I really didn't know what to really compare, so I looked at the main statistics for the, what was it, the T1 Cunningham, the statistics that I could read for it, and I thought, oh yeah, this is pretty good. Whoops. This is a pretty good vehicle. Oh, that was weird. But, so, I started playing in the American line. And then I noticed, oh yeah, well, since I'm going down this line, right, maybe I should focus on, so I thought maybe I should try playing down the American line. So that's what I did. And so I started playing, you know, artillery for the Americans. And, you know, it was different. It was kind of, it had its quirks to it. But in a sense, I kind of enjoyed it because it was a challenge, you know, especially if you had to get in close and fight someone. And, well, in that last game I didn't do too well, but it's just because I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to play at the same time. I just think it's important to talk about this. It doesn't matter if my first games are bad, really. But anyways, so I started playing artillery more for the Americans, and I paced myself. I took my time with it at tier 2 and then tier 3 and tier 4 and tier 5. And, you know, I enjoyed it. I really did. But then later on I started running into people that, I don't know, like I'd run into smack talking in other games before, you know, but I'd never run into a situation where someone would smack talk. It wasn't even smack talking actually at that point. It was, you know, insulting players for playing a particular class. And there was, I think there was smack talking with certain different classes of vehicle, between classes of vehicle, but honestly, the only time I ever ran into people that were maliciously against a particular class of vehicle was artillery. And it didn't matter if it was tank destroyers, light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks, didn't matter. Everyone, or at least it seemed everyone, was complaining about artillery. Now, is that really everyone complaining about artillery, or just a select few complaining about artillery and their voices just being the loudest of the entire group, right? And that's the perception that I was trying to fight against. That's the, or not even fight against, but just trying to understand. Because many times when I'd ask people, well, what's good about artillery? What's bad about artillery? What don't you like about artillery, you know? No one would ever really answer me. They would say it sucks. And you know, if you play artillery, you're a terrible, terrible person. Now, I know not everyone has that viewpoint, but it really upset me. And it still does. that someone could be that malicious towards someone else just because of what they do, what kind of vehicle that they play, what kind of class they play in a game. You know, I don't even run into that sort of thing in League of Legends. And as far as other people are concerned, it's one of the most toxic games to play as far as the community is concerned. But no one ever really smack talks a particular class. I've never run into that. It's something I've never heard of outside of World of Tanks, and I'm sure that it does happen in other games. But that's the thing, you know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And for me, I'm trying to figure out what it is that people don't like. Why people react the way that they do about certain things, and I never get answers. So I had thought about at some point, what if I were to create a post which, asked questions about certain things, different kinds of vehicles and whatnot, particularly though in this case it would be World of Tanks, and just get an idea of, why do people think badly about this and that, and but in particular about just SPGs in general. Because I just don't understand the hatred. I just don't. Now, that shot wasn't aimed in, and, I hit him, and someone might complain about that. But honestly, that happens to everyone. That doesn't happen to just SPGs. That happens to all different types of vehicles. Whoops. But, so, oh yeah, RNG. That happens to tank destroyers, that happens to light tanks, that happens to a bunch of different vehicles. And we're talking about at different times as well, before artillery were changed, and before they were changed again, apparently. I've only seen one drastic change in artillery, so that's all I really know about. But I just don't understand. Artillery are overpowered, or, oh, you gotta nerf them so that they're not as accurate. I mean, they're part of the game. If Wargaming, for example, were to say, and I think that they have said this, I haven't taken a look at the post itself, but someone made reference to a post and said that Wargaming had specified, and I think this was regard to some outrage that SPGs were in the game, that SPGs are part of an actual history of vehicles, combat vehicles, during the times that, I guess, World of Tanks sort of deals with as far as, combat vehicles. Of course it says World of Tanks, but, World of Combat Vehicles, excuse me, doesn't sound as good. Doesn't sound as catchy. And by my account, or by my understanding, that's what it seems to be. It's World of Combat Vehicles, specifically from World Wars I through II, and I think part of the Korean War as well. Vehicles that were sort of within that time frame. That's my understanding. And SPGs were a combat vehicle that were part of that. Now, from most of what I read about, the different types of vehicles in the game, there are a lot, maybe not everyone, but there are a lot, especially of SPGs, that seem to be either blueprint only, or, how should I put this, blueprint only or prototype only. But they never actually saw mass production, but they're included in the game. Now, there are some other vehicles, apparently, that, fall under that category. Apparently, the whole Chinese tank destroyer line is based on that blueprint only, apparent blueprint only, but never actually seen in combat or, records of history and things like that, again, outside of maybe blueprint. but that's what that is. So they include those vehicles as well, you know, blueprint vehicles. So they're in the game. So this is the point. Let's say, for argument's sake, whether or not this is the particular case. When's the update? I have no idea. I'll probably find out for him eventually. So, if it's the case that SPGs belong in World of Tanks, not dictated by the player base, but by the people who made the game, who arguably, the player base is not... How should I put this? Because the game is not necessarily tailored to a player base. The player base congregates itself towards that thing that they like, and that develops the player base. So when part of a player base decides, well, we don't like this particular thing, you know, they can argue that they're the ones in the right because they're the ones that are playing the game, but who is the one that is creating the game? Who has the image of the game in their minds and wants to stick with that? And no matter what other people say, that is the game that they're going to make. I mean, that's the way that I think of it. If they don't want to change the original understanding of the game, the original way the game was meant to be played, I mean, with maybe exception to certain balance changes and all that sort of stuff, then why are people so adamant about changing the game? Because that's what they're doing. That's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to have the game changed so that it's not the same game anymore. And, you know, I think that it would be a different game. It would be a different game for me. Because the original reason why I played World of Tanks was because I thought artillery were cool. Do some look kind of ugly? I don't know, I suppose. But I just like the concept of artillery. I always have. You know, the whole main battle tank concept, design, whatever you want to call it, was never really an interest of mine when I was a kid. I liked artillery. You know? So when I find out that there's a game that has artillery in it that I can play, whoa, gee whiz, you know, I'm super interested in this. I want to play some of these artillery. Oh, that was a pretty close shot. And that's what I want. I want to play artillery. Now, then there's some people in the player base that are saying, well, no, you shouldn't play artillery because artillery are bad. And, I mean, if in the end, people decide, if Wargaming were to decide, well, I guess no one likes artillery in the game, I guess we're just going to have to get rid of them, well, that's fine. If they're making that decision, then that's great. It just means I probably won't play the game. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the game, it's just the one thing that I enjoyed about the game, regardless of how easily it was played, was that you could play artillery. And all these names that people come up with for artillery, you know, Sky Cancer and scumbags and all that sort of stuff. I don't get any of that. It doesn't make any sense to me because when I play artillery, it doesn't... That's all that I play, really. I mean, outside of maybe a couple of other vehicles. So when someone says, oh, well, this is cancerous and all that sort of stuff, in a sense, they're kind of saying that the thing that I'm playing is bad. But I don't play it as though it's bad. I just play it to play it. You know, and I do the best that I can given the role that I think I can support. That's what I do. You know? So when people say, oh, well, you know, artillery has no skill and all that sort of stuff, not necessarily. I mean, it's hard for me to play and talk at the same time. Some people say, oh, it's just a point-and-click class. I can't really agree with that. But maybe that's just because of the way that I play. Maybe I don't play artillery in the traditional way. Or maybe I'm so... maybe I just think too much about how things play and how they should play. And so, as a result, Yeah, kind of like there. So, I mean, in that particular case, there is a situation where, you know, I was improperly positioned. And so I took the rap for that. I think a big thing, yeah, it's about positioning. It's about knowing which targets you should hit to support your team in order to reduce the amount of guns that are firing at your team. You don't want to really rely on criticals, because relying on criticals means that you're predicting, you know, what kind of damage you're going to be doing to your enemy, like a gunner getting knocked out or something like that, and that's kind of unreasonable. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, it just baffles me to think that someone could expect that a class in the game does not belong in the game and it should be removed from the game. It baffles me, because then people are assuming what it is that makes the game good, what makes the game great. And they're not the developers. They didn't make the game. They didn't have the vision for what the game was supposed to be. So to say, oh no, well, this isn't right, it seems so presumptuous. And I don't know, to me, it just seems like some people are just assuming way too much. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just don't understand how people could make the assumption that a game that was made a specific way shouldn't be that game. Now, if no one plays that game, that's a different story, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, there are some people that are playing this game right now. Maybe more should be playing the game. Maybe less should be playing the game. I have no idea. All I know is right now is 9,000 people or you know, a little bit more than that are playing World of Tanks. So apparently they don't think the game is broken. Or maybe the game is broken, but it's not broken enough that they've decided, oh, you know what, I can't play this anymore, you know. Is it easy playing in SPGs? No, I don't think so. You know, it's not just point and click. Not for me. Not the way my brain works. Because I have to be able to position myself so that I can, air quote, point and click. But it's not just about pointing and clicking, because I gotta wait for the cursor to get smaller so my chances to hit are better. So that my gamble is better. That my investment is better. You know, for taking my time to aim in that shot and then firing that shot and aiming the shot so that, depending on how accurate the chances are for the shot to hit, that at least on my part, it will hit the target. You know, at least it'll be going in the right direction. Maybe it doesn't destroy the target. Maybe it only damages the target. Maybe it tracks the target. Maybe it causes module damage to the target. I don't know. I just do my best, I play, and that's what I do. And I assume that other people do the same, which is why I don't understand why people complain so much. I've been hit by artillery. You know, I've had crew knocked out. I've been stunned before. And I tell you what, for me, I'm a one-shot kill if they hit me directly. I guess it also depends on where I get hit. But there's more chances of me getting knocked out from artillery than there are of them, at least in one volley. You know, so I have to be smart about it. And on certain artillery, I'm sure that people on my channel have seen it before. Two things I run. I run a large med kit, and I run a spall liner. You know, on those artillery that I know that I'm going to be using a lot. Why? Well, the spall liner reduces the amount of damage that, the chance that crew members will get knocked out. It's the same thing with the repair kit. It brings it down to, like, it reduces the chances of crew getting knocked out cumulatively by, what, 40%? Reduces stun by 15%? Big reductions. It's a big deal. You know, it does make a difference. But even so, some people still, even with those options, some people, you know, still want to complain about artillery, say, oh, well, it's unbalanced and it causes all of this drama and all that sort of stuff, and cry me a river. I don't understand why people complain about those sorts of things. I just don't. Because ultimately, they're not the ones, well, they are the ones that are playing the game, but they're the ones that have the choice of whether or not they want to play the game. And they have to understand that's their choice. And if they decide not to play, then that's what it is. They choose not to play. Other than, you know, going out of their way to, you know, scream at other players about, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't be playing this class, and oh, you're a terrible person, and all that sort of stuff. And it's stupid. You know, I don't understand how people could justify that kind of thought process, where it's like, oh my goodness, you know, why are you doing all this and all that sort of stuff. You know what? You know, while talking here, maybe I should have been more attentive and trying to shoot at these guys, you know? But it's what happens. You know, I'm trying to talk, and I'm investing my time into talking about what it is that's sort of bugging me about what's going on. And here I am trying to figure things out, to make things work. That's what it is. So, I don't know, maybe I just want to get some ideas from other people. You know, what is it that you want to change about artillery? Forget about trying to get artillery removed from the game. Because, I mean, if that's all that it's going to take in order to make people happy, then there's no point in me even trying to get into a discussion with them. Because what's the point in making it so that a player feels so unwelcomed that they just have to leave the game? You know, what's the point in doing that? Why do you want to limit the amount of people that ultimately are going to support the game and make it a success? You know, unless that population of people is damaging the game, which so far I can't say anyone can convince me that that is the case. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is that, you know, what, like, instead of just saying, like, complaining about stuff, saying, oh, well, this is terrible and all that sort of stuff, why don't you come up with suggestions, you know, what people can do? And don't give me that crap about, just eliminate all artillery from the game and make it so that people can get free crew retraining for any kind of vehicle they want. They're playing artillery. What do you mean, what other vehicle they want? What other vehicle they want? You just remove the vehicles that they wanted from the game. You know? So, like, and that's why I'm saying, you know, if you can come up with suggestions as to what it is that you could do in place of, I don't know, whatever it is that you may suggest, then that's one thing. But just saying, oh, just get rid of it, remove it, it's garbage, there's no use for it, that's not constructive. That's destructive, if anything. And it doesn't help the player base. So that's why, or I'm arbitrating from my point of view that it won't be a good to the player base. Because ultimately, I'd have to, you know, judge that based on my own understanding of, you know, what is good about the game, or what could be considered acceptable about the game. And And that's the thing. If you remove artillery, I'm probably not going to play World of Tanks anymore, because that was the reason why I started playing World of Tanks. You know, if I can't play in my artillery, that's fine. I lose my crew, I lose my gold, I lose my account, it's done. You know, nothing more to worry about. But is it worth it to do that to your player base? You know, maybe that's the question that some people have to ask. And maybe some people are alright with that. But I think those people are being selfish and not taking into consideration what it is that other players get out of the game. You know? I think it's people not really recognizing... They only look at it from their perspective, where, oh, well, it's making them miserable. Okay, well, what about other players? Right? What about the other people that play World of Tanks? How are they going to feel about it? Did you ask them? Do you care? Well, if you don't care, well, then that's one thing. But, you know, maybe wargaming do care. I don't know. I don't have a relationship with these people that make the games, so I really have no idea. You know, what is best for the community. All I know is, based on my own experience, remove artillery, I'll probably leave. Maybe some people would be happy about that. I don't know. I just don't see any point in removing a class from the game just because some few people, the vocalist of the bunch, get this idea that, you know, one class is ruining the entire game for everyone. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I looked at something in a game and I said, oh, that's going to break everything. That's just going to ruin the entire experience. You know, I don't think I've ever been in that kind of situation before. So that's why I just don't get it. So I need other people to help me to get it, to get their perspective. And if I agree with them, then I agree with them. If I don't agree with them, then I don't agree with them. But at least I understand where they're coming from. You know? But otherwise, I just don't know. And I need to know so that maybe there's something I can do about my gameplay that would help other people out to make the whole situation seem more acceptable. Maybe I can't, though. And maybe artillery does have to be removed from the game in order for it to be balanced. But, you know, I've heard things from players where it's like, well, if you remove artillery from the game, then eventually they're going to complain about something else. Tank destroyers are overpowered. Oh, heavy tanks are overpowered. Medium tanks are overpowered. Light tanks are overpowered. Oh, wait, we can't remove light tanks from the game because now we don't have any other class in the game. Why not just make it one class? Make it one vehicle. And then all you have to do is have people play against that one vehicle, and then that's it. World of Tanks is successful because no one can complain. This one is overpowered compared to this one is overpowered. But then no one would like that. Or maybe no one would like that, I don't know. Maybe there was only one tank in history. Maybe we only want to play that one tank. You know? Well, then it's not the same game as it was before. You know, World of Tanks is going to be something else. World of one tank. So if the game is the way that it is, and the only thing that really changes overall are small balance issues, maybe adding vehicles into the game that are considered air quote blueprint. Okay, if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do. But they'll make that game, and you either accept that that's the way the game is, or you leave. Yeah, the whole thing of, you know, being invested in, oh, I got gold on my account and I bought premium vehicles. You know, I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure that people will argue this, either because, well, arguably because they don't read the URL and URLA, yeah, the end user license agreement, and I'm pretty sure somewhere in there, and I may be paraphrasing, but it's likely to say something along the lines of, you buy this game because you think you're going to like it. If you don't like it, that's not on us, that's on you because you bought it. If you don't like our product, get the fuck out. And that's it. You don't like the game, leave. Don't stick around and be an idiot. Don't start shouting about, oh, I bought all these premium vehicles and I bought all this gold and all that sort of stuff. If you don't like the game, then stop playing. Please. Because I certainly don't need to deal with people that are, you know, all up in my face about, oh, well, you're playing the most broken class in all of the game. And you can shoot over objects and all that sort of... yeah, duh. It's called artillery. It can shoot over things. Like, what? It's just stupid. It really is. And it shouldn't bother me that people come up with stupid arguments like that, but it does. And arguably, if I can't deal with it, then I should leave the game too. Well, let's see if that hits. Oh, it got close. Did he almost... It almost looked like he did a two-wheel... Well, not quite a two-wheel turn, like a 5 or 6 wheel turn, but whatever. I guess all I'm trying to say is, if people are upset about something, you know, do you mind if you tell me why? Maybe I'll get a better understanding as to what it is I can do to make the game a better experience from my point. And it may seem like they're talking to their enemy, but I guarantee you, I'm not trying to make the game miserable for anyone. I'm not, you know? I'm just playing the game because I think the game is kind of cool. And I want to play the game because if the game is kind of cool, then I'm going to play it. If it interests me. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So when people are, you know, all up in my face about, you know, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and if they're trying to help you out, I guess I can understand, you know, they want to do better at the game, and they can't do better because other people are getting in their way and causing all this havoc. But honestly, I don't think I've run into a situation where I've done something that broke the game so badly that someone had to leave because they realized it would keep happening over and over and over again, and there was nothing they could do about it. I've never done anything like that in this game. Never. And I probably never will. Because that's just what that is. I play the game, I have fun, and that's what I do. And so far, I don't think I've run into any arguments that were presented by people that were, you know, oh, you're right, artillery are broken. They're terrible for the game, you know. I don't think I've run into any argument that someone has placed against me about artillery gameplay that could stick, that had enough, how should I put it, that had enough, what's the word? That had enough foundation, I suppose, to stick as being, you know, game-breaking. That something was game-breaking. I don't think I've run into anything like that. This guy's probably going to end up shooting that tank at some point. Well, that shot went in. So, I don't know, I'm not sure if I've really said my piece or if there's something else that I should really say in addition to what I've said already. But I just don't believe that there's really anything game breaking about SPGs. I just don't. I can't see any reason why someone would hate them, because honestly, I don't think there's anything to hate. They're just a vehicle that can be played in the game, and that's it. Yeah, I'm far enough away from it. So the wrecks will get smaller. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, I was gonna be able to get a shot. So yeah, I think that's rant over. And I think one of the reasons why I have to get that off my chest was because for the past little bit, like, I've been reading through some posts and stuff talking about artillery and other such things, and it's just been gnawing at my nerves, really. Like, I don't, like, some nights, like, I go to sleep and I get like violent shudders in my diaphragm. The only thing I can really relate it to is, I guess, when you have like a really, like, if you're really sad or emotional and maybe you start crying, you get that really heavy feeling in your diaphragm, and it's like your lungs are, what's the term, contracting like heavily, as if you almost can't breathe. Like, every time you cry out, it's like you're exhaling to the most that you can, and you need to get that little bit of air, like the shaking of the body almost, in order to get that little bit of air to just continue breathing while you're trying to deal with that, muscle contraction. I mean, I've been getting those like almost constantly in my sleep. And I mean, I would sleep for like 9 hours and stuff, but the thing was, it might be 2 hours or something that my body is going through this almost convulsion, and it doesn't feel comfortable at all. And I'd have to associate it. I'm almost certain I have to associate it with the kind of stress that I deal with in this particular regard. It's not only from this. I'm not blaming the World of Tanks community for, these spasms I get. I get this from other stuff too, but this is just another one of those sources that, I have to deal with. And it's something that I go through. And I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone into going along with what I'm saying. I mean, heaven forbid, especially considering that I don't think people would actually, get caught up into that. If anything, they just keep doing what they're doing. So, I mean, honestly, for me, it's just a matter of, I don't know, just trying to better understand the community, where they're coming from, interact with them. And in a sense, I suppose, not being afraid of them, but understanding that they are another player who has another perspective. And maybe there's something I can suggest to them that can help them, maybe dealing with SPGs, so that, it's not as much of a struggle for them. You know, maybe there's something that they're missing that they're just not getting because they don't play SPGs. And they don't want to play SPGs because they're afraid that they're going to light the class that they hate or something like that. I don't know. All I know is if I can, in some way or another, I want to help. And that's what it is. No more and no less. I just want to help. But that's the thing. You know, it's not like I said it. Now everyone's, you know, going to be looking to me for help. You know, it's not like people know who I am, you know, where I'm coming from and what I do. You know, I play World of Tanks amongst other things, and I try to be as friendly as I can with other people. I try to be as much of a team player as I can to, you know, whatever extent I can be. You know, in whatever capacity I can function as a team player. I know that I have limitations, but I always try my best. And it's just a question of, you know, what can I do? I always try my best to help out my teammates, to try and do things for them, but in the end, you know, there are some people that just, they have a certain perspective on things and they don't really like to change the way that they look at something. You know, they see it one way and that's the only way that they can understand it. And that's the only way that they will treat it. And maybe that's something that I can't necessarily escape from. Maybe that's something that I can't necessarily change. Hell, I'm not even looking to change it. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to get a better perspective. And the more perspective I can, regardless of where that perspective comes from, the better I will be at, you know, understanding where those people are coming from and potentially helping them. How would I help them? I have no idea, because I haven't been in I haven't been in a position where I could help people. You know, it's not like people have opened up to me and it's like, oh, I deal with these kinds of things with artillery and stuff. In my clan, you know, I play skirmishes with people in my SPG. And, you know, at first, most people didn't, well, actually, no one really plays SPGs in my clan, with maybe exception to some. But in skirmishes, yeah, most people don't play in artillery. But I do, and I do decently well. I try my best to play as well as I can. I have limitations, and I'm okay with that. Because in the end, at least I'm contributing in some way. You know, I'm doing my best, I'm trying to be a team player. You know, I do whatever I can to make things work. If I knew that space was there, I probably would have aimed, or I would have waited to see where he was aiming that, but... Let's see, that hits. Wow, ammo rack for 8 HP. That's impressive. Yeah, he was dead. Now, another thing too, in these games, it doesn't seem like I'm contributing much at all. And part of that could be associated with, you know, the less than 75% crew that I'm running on these vehicles. Am I doing that because I want to harm my team's chances of winning? No, I'm doing that because I'm trying to save on, you know, premium costs in order to, I don't know, I suppose I have the gold. I could invest in using it in order to train my crew so that I can start training perks right away and all that sort of stuff, and that way I can be more of a contributor to my team. But in the end, I feel like the idea of doing something in learning how difficult it is at the lower tiers, or the lower, with the lower amount of experience credits, however you want to put it, to be able to know how to use those vehicles in those kinds of situations, I think that's admirable. It helps to better understand what you can do with a vehicle. You know, what are your limitations? What are your strengths? And you know, with the French, I noticed, yeah, their guns are pretty accurate. You know, even considering you have a 75% crew, they're still pretty damn accurate. So that's an advantage for them. With the UK, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think the one common thing with all the artillery that I played thus far is that they have a pretty fast rate of fire comparatively to most other artillery. With the US, I'm venturing to say that they're kind of an all-around. They're decent at damage, they're decent at rate of fire, their accuracy isn't too bad, especially with those of the, I guess the M44 coming in a close third, with the M12 and the M55, M53, something like that. But yeah, these sorts of things, you know, by playing different artillery, I've learned to, you know, use certain parts of the environment to your advantage. Hell, with the Bishop, the first gun, the gun actually has a range of almost 1,000 meters. But if you're on flat ground, it's probably only going to net you about 500, 400 meters. It's going to even be less than that if you're on a level of ground that's tilted downwards, so that the front of the gun is actually at a lower angle than it would be on level ground. And that makes a big difference. Excuse me. Because the first gun for the Bishop only has about, I think it's what, 12 and a half degrees of elevation. So nearly, what is that? Almost, I guess, 3.5. So I guess a normal gun elevation, or that you could use, would be something like, I think 45 degrees is the maximum effective angle that you can use in order to get a shot across somewhere. But I mean, that's the thing. You know, the Bishop only has 12 degrees. So that's almost like 3.5 times less. So what do you do about that? Well, the way I figure it, the best thing you want to do is put yourself in a situation where you're on an upward slope, where the gun is being elevated by the terrain. So I learned to do that in the Bishop. And when you do that, it's not a bad vehicle, really. I mean, it still has some weaknesses, but it's still decent. That's the way I see it. Yeah, I think I want to be over here. Oh yeah, this thing is pretty slow too. But hey, that's just another thing, right? So I don't know. I think this rise here will give me just enough elevation in order to make the shots that I need. We're gonna have to experiment here, so that's what we're doing. And there we go. That's the angle we're looking for. Now this is a tier 7, so this guy's going to actually be difficult to deal with.
Critical hit.
Are there some other lower tier targets that I can shoot at? Kind of, but they're a bit obscure. So I think no matter what, I'm just going to have to shoot at this guy. Or switch targets and shoot at this guy instead. Gonna wait for him to stop.
That was close.
Gun isn't too accurate. pulling forward. Maybe I want to try shooting at the Churchill.
Critical hit.
Tracking him. I don't know. Maybe I should switch targets to T92. We'll see.
Critical hit.
I mean, he's not at a bad angle.
Critical hit.
It's a critical hit, but no damage. Could shoot at that guy too. Oh, nice. He's still there? Yeah, he's still there. That shot went too far in that direction.
Critical hit.
Nice. AMX is there. The only question I might have is whether or not my gun can actually hit some of these targets. Nice work. Oh, nice, perfect. Shot fell short. That's the thing too, this gun, because of the amount of career experience this gun has right now, it's not the best for accuracy, so a lot of these shots are going to fall short and they're not going to do too much at all. And yeah, some of them are going to go long.
Critical hit.
Nice. He was behind a target, but still got some of that damage in there, which is good. Oh, nice.
Critical hit.
Flat side of his turret. It's so weird. Like, he's not moving his vehicle.
Critical hit.
Just trying to get a shot at it, I guess.
Critical hit.
Oh wow, 100 damage. Yeah, that was delayed. I think that was about 3 seconds of travel time. I can't shoot there. Not unless I give myself a better angle. The question is, can I shoot that long? No, not really, so that's my limitation. That's my limitation. shot landed there. Oh, they're trying to hit the AMX. Is the AMX spotted though? I wonder if it'd be good to go there. It's the Ram 2. So the T-67 was taken out. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to shoot at him. Sense if they try and go up behind the KB3, I can take out whoever it is, or I can damage them anyways. Not sure if I have enough to one-shot them. Looks like the artillery are moving up. What's the situation here? Battle of the Turtles. Yeah, right. Ram him? Yeah, that wouldn't have worked out. Yeah, so that was nice. That was a pleasant turtle fight there. What? I got a Confederate? Fine. I'll take that. And Class 2 Mastery. There you go. That's a new record in this vehicle. And that's with the first gun too, so that's pretty impressive, at least on my part. I don't think I've actually gotten third class in this vehicle. I don't think I've gotten third class in this vehicle. Well, I can't tell now. You guys will probably know because where it shows this, it probably would have showed a 3 or something like that. Because I think that's the lowest you can get. Third, second, first, and then ace. Well, I can't remember if I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, but it doesn't seem as heavily weighed on my mind, so I'll probably look over the recording eventually, and then I'll find out anything that I missed, and if I did, I'll probably say something then. Oh, hello.
Hey, bro, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. I was just playing some games in my Bishop, and I was doing a little bit of a rant regarding World of Tanks, the view on artillery, and how it sort of affected me psychologically, and just speaking my mind. Actually, since you're here, why don't you give me your perspective on artillery? I can't remember if you had a...
Artillery.
Oh, any artillery. Just the idea of artillery and how they function mechanically. You know, to be able to fire over, you know... I think that's what people are... I don't want to say most people are upset about, but just some people are upset about, period. Because it's like, oh, well, artillery can shoot over obstacles, and that's unfair. It's friggin' artillery. What do you expect? You know? They put them into the game. It's part of the game. You play the game. If you don't like the game, leave. That's what it is, you know? It's just ridiculous. So I'm just trying to figure out, you know, what kind of things specifically do people do not like? And, you know, maybe I'll post something on the forum, and I'll ask people, you know, what is it that, do you like artillery? Do you not like artillery? And if you don't like artillery, just don't say you don't like artillery, explain why. Or if you like artillery, explain why. You know, get rid of that terrible miasma that sort of exists between, you know, artillery players and non-artillery players. And arguably even players that dabble in a little bit of both. I mean, the Bishop, for example. I learned that with the Bishop, the first gun, you have limitations. One of them is that, technically speaking, you have a gun that has a range of almost 1,000 meters. But unless you're on a slope, you can't take full advantage of that. It's kind of like, you know, the advertised top speed on a vehicle is not actually the top speed on level terrain. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like that with the Bishop. Because the gun only has about 12 degrees of elevation, which basically means that you're only getting, I guess, even less than half of the range that you're supposed to from the gun itself. And it's not like one of those short-range artillery that have a very high arcing projectile. That's not what it is. It's actually a very flat projectile compared to most of the artillery that are, well, short range. So it's deceptive to say that it's a short range vehicle. It's not. It's just that it has poor gun elevation for the first gun that is available to it. Which, in a sense, makes it feel like a really bad vehicle until you get the second gun. But I'm sticking with the first gun because I want to save experience getting to tier 6. So I'm sticking with that limitation. So I had to figure out how to use the gun, you know? So I learned a couple of things. Now, that's not necessarily the reason why, you know, people might think artillery is bad, but it is an example of why artillery are not overpowered or are unfair, at least as far as my perspective. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something about artillery that is, you know, fundamentally wrong, and it shouldn't be in the game. I don't know. You know, I play artillery, and I've played against artillery, and I have no problems with, you know, either. So apparently I'm not getting it. So maybe I'm not smart enough to get it. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I'm not getting, or that I have to figure out. But I need to ask other people that have other opinions. That's what it is. And that's mostly the situation that I'm in. Now, do I want to shoot over here? What is that? That's 700. Can I get the gun elevation to shoot over there? I think I can if I go here. That's a miss. That's a miss. Can't fire on that target anymore because I don't want to risk killing my comrades. Add more fuel to the fire as to why you should hate artillery. Shot fell short again. They got that. He's range. And that's going to be a bit of a problem. Are you still there, V2B1?
Yeah, mate, me.
Oh, okay. No, I was just curious if you had an opinion about all that sort of stuff.
On Arties, I think I'd find it to how you play it. What map you're on also depends on how you play. I play Artie, I like Artie, so you know what I mean? It's kind of a thing where people only whinge about Arties when they get killed by it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think that it's how you play the game. Every game's got to have the arty, because if you don't have the arty, they're not realistic, and they've got to make the game as realistic as possible.
And I agree, you know. Now,
Real world artillery.
now, I've heard the argument placed by people that the game is called World of Tanks, not World of, you know, SPGs, which is kind of a stupid comparison when you think about it, because obviously it's not World of SPGs because it has tanks in it. Now, you could say World of Combat Vehicles, but then you'd have to specify, you know, from World War I to World War II to Korean War, you know, because it doesn't include modern vehicles. So in that sense...
SPG is still a tank.
Oh, and there you go. So they can't use that argument then. But some people... Well, hold on a sec. Here's a good example. What about the Rheinmetall Borsig, right? It's a tracked vehicle, but is like enclosed like most other tanks would be? I don't think so. You know, it is on a tank chassis, but is it considered strictly a tank? Well, if it is, then there you go. But if it's not, why is it in the game? Well, because people, I guess, thought that it was realistic to have it in the game, right?
Anything that's got a turret and it's on a tracked vehicle is classed as a tank.
Yeah, so...
Anything that's got an armour that you could not penetrate with your fist is classed as an armoured vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would agree. I definitely agree. I guess I don't run into enough people that, you know, share that. I don't know. Maybe it's just, it's like I said before. Maybe it's not as much that there are a lot of people that are saying all of this crap. it's more so that there are people, there are a few people, but because they're so vocal, they're heard over everyone else, and so it seems to be that they're the majority. You know what I mean? The ones that shout the hardest and the loudest end up representing the group of the people. They become a representation of what everyone is like, just because.
I just think people sometimes need to get a life and remember this is only a game and it's not real life. And if it was in real life, half of them wouldn't be playing this game, because I'm telling you, every single person that's played this game has died. So, yeah, they shouldn't really have an opinion, because every game changes. Not every game's exactly the same.
Yeah, and I agree. I suppose the perspective I'm coming from is, when I hear people complaining about stuff like that, it's not as much that I think that they're wrong in the sense that they don't belong in the game, although that is part of it, but I think it's more so that it's not that they necessarily believe that specifically, it's that, how do I put this? It's like there's something particular that you don't like about something or someone, but it's not enough to basically say you don't like that about them to justify saying, terrible things or, saying bad things about that person. So you hear something about them that's extremely terrible, whether or not it's true or not. So they latch on to that because it's like, oh, well, apparently they did this really terrible thing. I guess I'm justified in hating them, right? I think it's kind of like that, where people don't like something, maybe something small, and then they hear something that is coming from the bigger crowd saying, oh yeah, this is terrible, and they latch onto that because they think now they're justified. But it's just that, you're piggybacking another cause in order to sort of achieve your own, whatever cause that may be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just think there's a lot of whingers in this game, and they just need to get a life, some of them. Everyone's got their own opinion on different tanks.
There's a lot of what? What was the term you used?
A lot of whinging when it comes to this game.
Whingers. I don't think I've heard that term before.
A whinger, someone that whinges all the time. Whines and bitches and cries about a stupid game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. I've never heard that term before.
A whinger? Oh, okay. Whinge and whine.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's Aussie slang, mate. Aussie slang. Aussie slang for a bitch.
Well, there you go.
I get those shots off. I can get shots off, but every time I get a fire, their lights going. I'm in my arty.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I do fire, it fires straight over the top of them.
Yeah. I run into that a lot with when I'm training up crews for my artillery, because I don't like to go. I don't like to go 100% at the very beginning, just because. Well, it's not that I think that it's cheap. I just think that, why spend gold on that sort of thing when I can save up my gold, to use improvements and that sort of thing for my crew. Like, what is it? Like an enhanced gun laying drive or something else that gives the vehicle some form of advantage.
Yep. Sorry, mate, I'm just thinking about it.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'd almost call it, the economic way to go when trying to train up your crew. I'd argue, or I guess someone could make the argument that 50% trained crews are better for that, but with artillery, they're just, I don't know, they're just not good enough.
No way.
I've tried using 50% crew on artillery, and it's not a good time. It's hard enough, especially in Tier 2 artillery, trying to hit something with a 75% crew, but it just does not happen when you're in when you have a 50% crew. you just don't get anything.
Just down there, Artie. Smash it.
Nice.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, lucky I didn't fire. I would have taken out my own team member because he just drove straight in front of me.
Critical hit.
4 left.
We're done for.
Around here.
Everyone get out.
No, they all see. Barely hit the end. B4202. Right in the side. Bye-bye. And it didn't fire. What the hell? It just showed that I fired and it didn't fire. Then I fired straight over the back of it. Oh, awesome. I just had a ping spike just as I was firing. It showed that I fired, but it didn't fire. And then when I went to fire, it missed.
Yeah, no, the Matilda wasn't going to be able to get back to the cap circle in time. What a foolish thing to suggest. Okay, so that's a defeat there. Yeah, I think the Strongholds is tomorrow. You going to be playing in that V2V1?
Yeah, sure, mate.
Actually, would you prefer if I called you Will? I'm not sure.
Yeah, mate, yeah. My real name's Will. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Will name is Will?
That's William.
William. Are you from Australia?
Certainly am, mate. Sydney.
Ah, there you go. The other side of the world. Or so I am told.
17 hours in front of you guys.
All right, so bottom tier.
I'm 64,000 away from my T95.
T95. Oh, that's the American version of the tortoise, right? At
Yeah, the
tier
Texas.
10? Is it tier 10 or tier 9? It's tier 9? Okay. What comes after it? Is there anything in the tech tree that comes after the T95?
Yeah, it's the T110E3.
T1. Did you say the T110E3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that does average 750 per shot.
Now, I could be mistaken, but doesn't the T110E3 sacrifice, like comparatively to the T95, a lot of hull armor for more turret armor?
Yes.
Okay. I just figured I'd ask.
But you got a lot more damage.
Well, I figure as much.
The survival rate is less than the... it's a good survival rate, but compared to the T95, it's nothing.
Oh yeah, no doubt. that's a hit. Not sure if he spotted me. I don't think so. Oh, he's dead.
The rate of fire on the T95 is 8.64 compared to T10 be 3.61.
Oh yeah.
Got more hit points by 250 on the T10E. Survival rate is only not much, it's only 9 more, it's only 656 on the T95, and it's exactly the same. It's 647 on the T100. The sides are stronger on the T95. You got 150 on the side, 305 on the front. But where the T100 only got 305, 76.
Oh, okay.
So I'm 50. I'll be 50 mil. 12 mil stronger in the back because they've got 38 and I've got 50. And I've got way more side armour. No, double the side armour than what that's got.
Critical hit.
But I've heard they're doing modifications to the T28 as well. They're going to be making it stronger. They're putting bigger tracks on it. They're making the hull a bit wider in the next update, but I don't know how true that is.
But I guess pretty good tanks overall, eh?
Yeah. I reckon it's
Actually, funny thing today, I ended up ammo racking someone in my SPG, but they were only on 8 HP, so it was like, oh nice, I got a friggin' oh, okay, it's a good thing the E25 is low profile, otherwise that would have cost me some credits. Nice. That hit was super nice.
Did you get your garage slot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
I sent it to you. I sent it to you as a gift.
Yeah, I think I do remember getting it. I know when I looked on rewards, something like that was there. But yeah, thank you for that. That was really nice.
You're welcome.
I'm always looking for garage slots so that I can house all those artillery. And that was another thing too that I thought about, because let's just say there are a lot of people in the community that just, the reason why they don't do good against artillery, or that they lose against artillery in games, is because they don't know how to play with artillery in games. Because it's a problem where you get into a match and they're just a bunch of, well, there could be lights, there can be mediums, there could be everything except SPGs, and then you get thrown into matches sometimes where there are SPGs, so it's like, you know, it's not like you get every game to figure out how to play around them, you know what I mean? So, having said that, how do you play when, you know, they're in the game? So I thought about, well, what if I were to record the characteristics of all the different types of artillery that are in the game, preferable positions where they can go and where they can shoot from, and what they can hit from those positions. And then that way it becomes sort of an educational opportunity for people to learn, well, where can artillery hit me? You know, what kind of artillery have stun as opposed to which ones don't? You know, as far as the whole British line is concerned, from what I can see, the only ones that have stun are at tier 7 and up. But that's pretty much it. The FE304 doesn't get stun, all the way down through the Bishop, the Birch gun, the Sexton 2, the Lloyd gun carrier. None of them have stun. So, I mean, one of those things where I remember talking to some people. I think Barbie One. I think he was saying something about vehicles that had stun and all that, and I can't remember which one it was. I think he said something about. Well, actually, I mentioned the Tier 5 French artillery, and I said, yeah, it doesn't have any stun. And he's like, no, it all artillery, you know, above, what was it, Tier 4 have stun. And I said, no. Or actually, no, he didn't even say that. He thought that all artillery had stun now. And I was like, well, no, they don't. You know, there are certain artillery that don't have stun. So he started going through all the different lines and is like, well, holy shit. There are some vehicles that don't have stun. Yeah. I mean the Germans, they get access to stun. They can get access to stun at tier 3, I believe it is, with the Bison. But there's another alternate artillery line, I believe, that doesn't get any stun at all. Let me just double check that, just to be sure.
The Brill, which is the German line, gets stun on level 5.
Yeah, at tier 5.
That's why I got that. That's why I've gone down that line. I've got that exact same line. I've got the GW Panther at the moment.
Yeah, so let's see. So, yeah, the Bison gets stun at tier 3, and the Sturmpanzer II gets stun at tier 4. But for the second line, the Wesp at tier 3 and the Panzerstaffel 4B at tier 4, neither of those get stun. It's only when you get to the Grill and the Hummel and everything up from there that you get stun and things like that. So again, there are certain vehicles that have access to stun, whereas other vehicles don't within those tiers, right? And actually, recently, I noticed that they added another line of artillery, which I never knew about, to the American line. And the funny thing is, the T-18 HMC, like, I'm looking at the design, I looked at the design, and this used to be a tier 2, what was it, a tier 2 tank destroyer. Yeah. Yep. And I realized, well, holy shit, they took the T-18, they turned it into an SPG, and then they took the old T-57 at tier 2, and they turned that into, what was it, the T-56 GMC? And so now that artillery is a tank destroyer. So they basically flipped them. But unlike with the German line, it doesn't seem like these vehicles get stun either. So it's just, I don't know, it's another artillery line. I'll probably check it out at some point to see what it's like. It looks like it's... It looks like it's mostly lower damage guns, but they're faster rate of fire. That's what it looks like. And arguably better aim-in time, I think. Yeah, kind of. They might even have better dispersion, I'm not really sure. Anyways, I'm going to get off TeamSpeak for a little while. It was good talking to you, Will.
Mate, take it easy.
All right, you too.
Disconnected.
Well, that was kind of, well, refreshing, I guess, to say the least. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try and post something to the forums and, I don't know, just ask people, get an idea of what it is that they like and dislike about artillery. And maybe there's something as far as gameplay that can be done to improve the experience, right? And I was looking through some of my recordings and I noticed that sometimes I ignore certain messages, and I guess it's because I'm used to seeing them a lot and figuring, well, they're referring to other people, right? They're not necessarily referring to me. But even like help messages, you know, that are sent in pings for help. You know, sometimes that means a vehicle is flipped. I don't know that because I'm so used to people using that command and they're not flipped. And that was even before, what was it, the physics were added into World of Tanks, where you could actually flip your vehicle, you know? Now I'm wondering if I can actually get to the top of this hill. Maybe I can go to the top of that area there. Maybe it'd be better to use my gun. Actually, I might be able to use my gun from here. Wait, did I do something stupid? Oh, wait, maybe it's because I'm moving. Hold on a second. Do I have... No. So chem netting isn't on my vehicle. I figured kind of that was the case, but...
Critical hit.
Oh, that's a good hit. Yeah, the shots do move slower. It's almost like, what, 255 a minute? I gotta remember too, when I'm aiming my cursor, I'm actually aiming it at the ground. I'm not aiming it directly at them. So that's something to consider. Because it could very well mean that I'm throwing a lot of my shots away, when I could actually be aiming much better with them, you know what I mean? And that one might be aimed long. It hit. Make that shot. I kind of don't like the situation on this side of the map because it doesn't look like we're spotting anything. So I'm gonna skedat. And I'm gonna move over here where I was originally gonna go. We're all tier 5. So we do damage to pretty much every one of them. Must have just grazed him.
Critical hit.
Yeah, he got him. Oh! He didn't quite get Sparta'd, but it works. Got decent range here. Oh.
Critical hit.
Now, there was a shot that came in from over here. That was a nice shot. That was another missed shot.
They're knocked out.
There we go. Yeah, so I'd have to say, if you're using the first gun, and although it's not optimal, and if you're trying to play this tank without rushing up to tier 6, I would almost, oh nice. I would suggest foregoing, well, if you're rushing up, you could try foregoing the second gun and just going straight to tier 6. Because you can make the gun work, it's just difficult. Having said that, though, if you want to contribute more, I'd probably say just go with this gun. Because it's going to give you more damage, it's going to give you more penetration, which is going to reliably give you more damage, and potentially help you do damage to actual armor. The dispersion is going to be worse, which ultimately is one of the reasons, I guess, why I don't want to go for it. Because with the situation I'm in right now, dispersion is already a problem, right? So if you're trying to train up a crew in this thing, I'd probably stick with this gun first before going for this gun. Because the dispersion is just, I don't know, it's probably going to make your shots much harder to hit, really. And I mean, with this gun, your vehicle is a little heavier, so you don't have to worry too much about people ramming you and, you know, that sort of thing. And the thing is, too, if you're trying to go through here quickly, with the gun, you'd probably have to, well, actually, no, you wouldn't. Actually, hold on a second. Well, let's say that you need... No, it doesn't seem to say that you need to, but anyways, the thing is, with this vehicle, you don't have to get the tracks. You could just go for the radio, and then that way you can sort of power your way to getting to here. Whereas with other vehicles, you know, you might need to buy the gun, or research the gun, in order to go up a tier. But what that ultimately means, well, if you just research the gun but don't use it, I suppose you can get away with that. But otherwise, if you want to use the gun, you have to research the tracks, buy the tracks, and then get the gun for the vehicle. So there's that. But yeah, I'm not sure how long we want to play for. Maybe till the end of this session. till the end of this this timer here. How much experience have we gotten today? 4,000. I know we're going to be playing a lot of games tomorrow, and I want to save room on my hard disk so that I can record those games. Because ultimately, I didn't get a lot of didn't get through a lot of recordings this time around. I wanted to try and get through 2 recording sessions per day, but that didn't happen. I think it's possible. It's just I need to be on top of that. And one thing's for sure, I have to stop having these well, I don't know what you want to call them. I'm not sure if they're serious enough to be called night terrors, but I can't think of another term, so let's just use that for now until someone says otherwise and says, oh, it's not serious enough that it would actually be night terrors. You're crazy. And there's no way that you're having night terrors because of all this sort of stuff. Yeah, well, I'm not so sure, friend. It's like, yeah, that's right, you're not so sure, and that's why you're wrong. Well, thank you for letting me know that, friend. I'm glad you support me. I said nothing of the kind. Yeah, I'm sure. Now, a real question on this map. Using artillery on this map is kind of hard in the first place, or at least I find it is. I'm not sure if I could really use the bishop effectively here. There's this little spot. Nope. And yeah, I can't move the vehicle around that well in this spot. So I think ultimately that's out.
Critical hit.
That's one shot in. Excelsior. Do I dare trying to make another shot against the Excelsior? I dare.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
According to the cursor, it looked like I could make a shot against the AMX CLC when it went around that corner. And maybe that's what I should have done, was just hugged this building up here and just tried to line up a shot for the side. But, yeah. Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what I should have done. I think that actually would have been a smarter play. was gonna say I was circle strafing like a turtle, but yeah, I think that one match that we had there on, I don't even remember the name of the map. That was circle strafing like a turtle, and that was amazing. That was a super awesome match. No joke. It was the most amazing experience ever. Well, that didn't work out. Yeah, backing up probably wasn't a good idea. It would have still been risky, but given the amount of time that he had left, going straight out probably would have worked out better. I think he's referring to the new update that supposedly is going to get rid of these things, but I'm not sure. I can't say... Oh, I did some damage there. And I got some experience! That's cool. 93%, I'll take that. I'm not sure when I retrain this vehicle for the FE304 if it's going to take me down to 75% or it's going to reduce it by some other number. I think if I reach 100% and I start retraining perks, or if I start training perks, I think it gets reduced to 90%. But I'm not certain exactly. Because I've seen that at some point where it reduces it to 90% and 80% for regimental school and rapid course, which is technically the rapid course is the 50% crew training initially, and regimental school is the 75%, which costs credits. And Tank Academy, I believe, is the gold one, which is 100%. But I could be wrong. Then again, I could be right.
Time to roll out.
So I'm actually going to cut across to H3. Whoops. Gonna fire a blind shot there, which didn't hit anything.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Oh wow, that actually hit. Damn, he hit. Of course it hit. Exactly he's looking at. All I know is I'm shooting and I'm not hitting anything.
That was close.
Was close. So I need to get up here.
Critical hit.
Hit. They must have really good training, or well, training, yeah, but good repair skills on that crew. deviated shot. That's a bit high, yeah. Probably get spotted there.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
That was a good shot. Cells here? Shot's gonna be delayed. Cells here is probably trying to aim in a shot. Whether he's succeeding at aiming in the shot, that's a different story. Actually didn't mean to aim there, but I mean, of course I aimed that. That was my intention from the very beginning. Can't hit him. I could probably get spotted from there. But I think I'm good. Didn't actually move that far. Oh, he got nuked. He got freaking nuked. Oh yeah. M4 dirt, I suspect, considering the speed of that shot. Slower moving projectile. I know, he's probably off. Okay, so not too bad that game. Mind you, I was hitting some higher tier vehicles, I think, as well. The IO being one of them, but not doing anything to him, but maybe the Hellcat, getting a kill on him, and 32 damage, I suppose. Yeah, so I guess that's decent. So I think I got third class before. But today is the first time getting second class in this vehicle. And I think, considering I'm using the... Well, hold on a second. What is... Let's look at the statistics. Quick. Actually, no, let's go into battle. Because I think, offhand, what was it? Second class mastery requires being 85% above the average experience earners on the vehicle, I think it is. I don't think it's damage based. At least your performance in the vehicle is above what is it? I think it's 85%. I think for third class it's 65. First class is
Has been requested. Platoon created. Got to roll out.
first class I think is 95. Pretty sure.
A player has joined the platoon.
95, and ace is 99. Pretty sure. Could this be a bad spot? We'll sure as hell find out. Soon enough as well. Let's see if we can spot anything there, I assume. Shot at something. Where's his gun looking? Off in that direction. Did a tree fall down? No. Trees are outside of the map there. And one of our guys got nuked. Oh, nice. That's a whopping amount of damage. You don't get that kind of everyday damage.
That was close.
He's just sitting there. Well, it looks like he gets away with it. It's not like I can punish anyone really hard for being out in the open or anything. Not with this thing.
Critical hit.
Trapped him. Which is nice. Oh, I see Hellcat. Priority target. It wasn't intended, friend. You can thank me later.
Critical hit.
Peanuts worth of damage.
Critical hit. Critical hit.
How are we doing? Are we doing terrible? Not quite.
That was close.
That would have been nice. would have been very nice.
Critical hit.
Nice. Got some more peanuts. Nothing else is going on. Yeah, if he hasn't gone for him by this time.
vehicle has had it.
Huh. I don't usually like using the term scumbags, but given the context I was using it in, I think it was, well, not appreciated, but it's kind of, I guess the way you think of it is, if someone calls you a scumbag for being an artillery player, someone who is deeming you unworthy to play the game or a terrible person just because you play a class, in a sense, it's almost like, what is it, the teapot calling the kettle black, I think the turn of phrase is. So it's like, am I really a scumbag? Or are, based on your interpretation of things, the way you see it, are you just blind to your own interpretation, and what really you're saying by what you're inferring by what you're saying is that you yourself are the scumbag, as you've identified it. So that's it's just another one of those things, right? It's just another one of those interpretations that makes the world not so simple and makes it fascinating, really. There's a lot of tank destroyers I've noticed. Is there an on-track currently for the tank destroyers? I'm not sure. Let's see here. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to play for tonight. Maybe play some more games. I'm not sure what time it is. I'm going to check that quickly. What time it is. Okay, so it's pretty close. Won't run any more reserves, but maybe I'll play a couple more games. And then tomorrow, I'll set myself up to... the heck is it? I'll set myself up to do some recordings, or go through some recordings in the early morning, and that way that will give me some more space on my hard drive so that I can at least do these strongholds. What's cutting off here? KV2 of ours. He wanted some bait damage. Or maybe he was trying to complete a mission, which could have meant he was looking for big damage. Yeah, I'm not sure how expensive these shells are compared to... well, hold on a second. How much does one of these guys here cost? I can't find out. Oh, here it is. 83? It's too bad I can't find out what shells specifically go into... Actually, hold on a second. I think I can. Let's see here. Actually, there was something else I was going to check. I can't remember what it was. But, yeah, so let's go here. UK... Actually, no, I'm looking for shells. So, UK... I'm looking for the Bishop and all guns. Okay, so... Oh, okay. All guns, all my guns, current guns. Okay, that kind of doesn't help. Actually, hold on a second. What is the other gun here? Okay, so let's try this. So, whoops. Want to go in here. Store. We're looking for shells. Not all my guns. We're looking for all guns. But we're looking for... We are looking for high explosive. .90 caliber. Big shells. Not looking for big shells. Oh, is this it? 28. That damage range looks about right, because I think it said 420 average damage. Penetration seems right. Caliber seems right. Average damage seems right. I think it's this one. So, if I'm right, 250... So the shells are how much more expensive? So we're looking at these ones, which would be in the other gun, I would figure, as opposed to these ones. And these ones cost 3 times less. Okay. So I guess an argument could be made towards using these, especially if you don't have a 100% crew. Because what you're doing is you're decreasing the amount of accuracy that you have overall for higher penetration and higher damage. So every time you hit, you're probably going to be paying for your shell. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, you're not going to be making as much money, although that may be of little significance for the amount of, well, money you'd be making otherwise. Because what you're basically saying is, I'm looking at trying to get 3 of my shells to hit with higher dispersion, as opposed to 1 of my shells hitting with, you know, lower or higher dispersion. Sorry. Lower accuracy and higher accuracy. Higher accuracy being less dispersion and lower accuracy being higher dispersion. So I got that backwards there. But let's say 9 shots are made with the lower penetration rounds and 3 shots are made with the higher penetration rounds. If even one of those penetrating rounds hits, are you going to be doing enough damage to make up for those 9 hit or miss shots, right? So it's a numbers game. It's all about how much you're willing to invest and how much you're willing to get out of it. Get away.
Time to roll out.
Sorry, friend, I didn't mean to mess that up for you.
Critical hit.
Lower hit. Shot one too high. moved. I'm not sure how much damage I did to him. Got an E25 spotting there. Sort of. It's all about the team's approach to things. Oh wow, my shot would have actually hit. That would have been amazing. Stealing the final kill. Or kill securing, my bad. Silver Platinum get back to me? Nope. I'm actually curious why he asked me. Maybe he doesn't like going on the forums. They're a scary place. Actually, out of curiosity. Nope, not yet. But soon, which will be nice, because then I can get someone else. And I want to figure out if I want to start using that female crew member or those female crew members that I've recently gotten and mix them in with my other male crew members. I guess that's not that big a deal. I guess the idea that people want to go for, right, is to have all of their crew members, so like all their female crew members in one vehicle, but I don't think it makes a difference. I don't think so. I'll probably look it up on the forums and find out, but we'll see at the very least. Turn up my fan a little bit. But yeah, I think after this game I'll call it quits for the evening. Actually, no, because the double experience thing is going on, right? So I want to take my German Tier 2 out for a stroll. I'm probably not top on the leaderboard anymore, although it doesn't really matter to me. I was just really surprised that I was at the top of the leaderboard, and I was using it kind of as an example of, well, I guess it's hard to use this vehicle to get the damage done that you need to in order to be considered important in the game. Having said that, you know, I didn't have a fully trained crew, and look where I got, right? So who knows? Maybe if I had a 100% crew, I could be even higher on the leaderboard. You know, and I wouldn't have to spend, well, I'm not spending credits on chocolate right now, but I wouldn't have to use chocolate in order to get that performance. And if I did use chocolate, then the dispersion would be even more tolerable.
Let's get this show on the road.
I'm gay. So he's trying to make reference to. Now, this could be a bad idea, but I'm actually going to go to the bottom of the hill because there's not much sloping up here. I didn't get a good look at what that chaffee did, but I'm sure it was somewhat impressive. Oh, so it was a barrel roll. Or something like that. Now, do I want to shoot at them, or do I want to shoot at them? At the tiers... These guys are not so mobile. I say that while they're moving around. Let's put out a shot, see if it hits something. If it does... Praise be the name of our Jesus. Wasn't trying to get the kill there. It just happened to be on low health when I made my shot. I don't know if he's... yeah. I really wasn't sure what he was going to do there. I can't make shots at him. He's there, but I can't shoot him. Aim in the gun and then move it over to where it needs to go. Let's look for that ridge line. Let's put that ridge line tight. The best I can do is probably keep him tracked. Is he still tracked?
Critical hit.
Can't say for sure. Not anymore. Nice. Set him ablaze.
Critical hit.
Did he die? Yeah, I think we took him out. think that would have hit him, actually. Which range is that? Yeah, that's almost 1,000. Nice. Win's a win's a win. It needs 1 kill for crucial. Oh. They get it? I think they did. I can't remember. I think it's you have to have at least 3 kills each. But you have to have, was it 12 kills total? Hold on a second, let's see here. So crucial, crucial, and crucial. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes dollars. Wait. Huh? So... Oh, maybe because I got that? Oh, wait, hold on. I was like, what am I thinking? Okay, so it's... Okay, so I was wrong. It's not... So for third class, it's 50%. For second class, it's 80. For first class, it's 95. And for ace tanker, it's 99. Or over 99. Maybe it can be on the 99 mark. I'm not really sure. But too small a window for anyone to really care. So there you go. Well, did I? Yeah, I said that was my last game. So yeah, that's it for today. My name is GD. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be uploading some more for this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going to be playing Strongholds with my clan, and I'm probably going to end up using the M44 in that one. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the future. Forever Forward in March. GD out. Actually, you know what? Pretend that I use that outro, not now, but soon, because I still need to play a game in this. So that's what I'm going to do. Can't get rid of me. Well, you could. But that wouldn't be very nice. Okay. So yeah, we'll save that outro. We'll cut and paste that outro for after all of this. And maybe I'll cut that out. Or maybe I won't do any of that and I'll just leave it all in. Because that's just how I roll for these vlogs. We're going to edit that out. That's like what Blasphemous HD says in his YouTube videos. We're going to cut that out. We're going to edit that out. Oh, that laugh of his. It'd murder some, I tell you. Actually, how many victories do we get? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We're just going to count the battles first. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 11? Yeah, I'll take that. I don't know, we might not get a game tonight in this thing. If the elapsed time reaches the expiry, which I believe is what, at 4 minutes and 56 seconds, I believe. If it hasn't found a game, then it kicks us back out to the lobby. It says we can't find a game, or something along those lines. Don't quote me. Yeah, and if that happens, which it didn't, we return to the lobby, but we won't, because we're in a game now. Okay, so where we're positioned is important. Got to line up the game preemptively for a good strike. Yeah, so A5, A6, that's going to be the area where we are. And really, that's just the area where we're going to be. Could move over here a bit. I don't actually have the whatchamacallit on, so that's out. Actually, for those last games, was I running the
Let's get this show on the road.
Now, admittedly, this thing doesn't move very fast, but I mean, look at that handbrake turn. That's just, it's crazy. Is that as far back as I can go? I believe it is. Oh, do I dare.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Wow. Well, I guess you can get a low roll. Or is that a low roll for damage? It could be. There's definitely a penetration though.
One of our gas tanks ruptured. Low on fuel.
Oh boy. Hmm. Panzer Ag 1. It's gonna pull out the win. I don't think he's gonna have the time to reset. Nope. Okay, well, looks like we're gonna play another match. Yeah, I didn't realize till too late that the M2 light was moving down that way. I got a really hefty hit on him, which is kind of nice. He probably could have avoided that shot, I mean, if he just moved around, but he didn't do that. He just took it. Now, I'm not sure if I just hit him in an armored part and the round didn't penetrate and that was just splash. But I think it did penetrate. It just didn't do... Actually, hold on a second. Let's take a look here. So, what's the low roll on this thing? No, for a penetration, that would have actually destroyed him. So, I guess it didn't penetrate. I guess it didn't penetrate. Okay. Oh, mines. I think I'm actually going to back up for this one. I usually like to go behind that rock, but, oh. Yeah. So they got a Lloyd gun carrier versus a T1 HMC and a G10 Mark 6. Really? No one moved up. I'm surprised by this. Don't think I'll have time to hit the cruiser, no. Cruiser is not in the spot that I can shoot.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
How did he get spotted? Oh, right, one of these guys is outside of my radio contact range. One of them got taken out. Nice. So they weren't full health targets, but I did what I could. T7 car was, which was a nice pickup. There you go. Not too bad. And that experience goes towards getting these guys up eventually. So that's good. So what's he up to now? Yeah, not too far away. I only have to, what, lose one, win one? Low amount of experience there, higher amount of experience there, which is good. Alright, nice. So I've done that for today. I suppose I could play one in the M44, but I'm not going. No, I'm good with that. Alright, so for reals this time, we're done for today. My name is GD, and outro and all that, and I will see you in the next one. Spirits up, people. Forever 40 March. GD out.